Welcome to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. Hope you're having a great day. We've had a terrific week on this show, and I really appreciate everyone joining us and hope that you're getting ready and going to actually get a break for the Christmas holidays. Well, look, without any further ado, let's bring Jeff Duncan in from NOLA.com and the Times Picayune, our friend every Friday to talk about the Saints and whatever else is on his mind. Jeff, how you doing, my friend?
Ricky, I'm doing great. Great to see you. Great to hear from you again. And hey, man, we got a big home game this weekend in the Dome, and the Super Bowl's 8 weeks away. So a lot to get excited about over here in New Orleans.
Yeah, the Saints still have a chance to go to the Super Bowl.
I know you're holding out hope. I appreciate your optimism. Somebody's got to have optimism in this.
Everybody did. Look, I actually shared on the. Let me go back over here real quick. I shared on the show. Sometime this week that there was a Norwegian study, Norwegian University of Science and Technology had a study. It was literally a big study, like 1,548 people, all ages. And what it concluded was that that people with a positive attitude had a growth mindset. And it said it was associated with both higher willpower and passion. So you got to, I would say, dogged determination and passion. That's what you need to have to be a Saints fan.
Right now, yeah, I would say so. And let's throw the Pelicans in there as well, right? I mean, it's not been a good start to the 24-25 sports campaign right now. And look, I would say this, though. People that follow the Saints are resilient people. I mean, it's part of the makeup, I think, of Saints fans. They've been through a lot of lows, more lows than highs over the years. So they're used to grinding away and maintaining their optimism.
That is for sure, man. I talk about that part all the time. You know, I jokingly talk about my optimism. I am a Saints fan through thick and thin, but I'm also a realist. But I'm not Debbie Downer. So, you know, that's what you bring to the table because that's your job. Your job is to call it the way you see it. And
I don't think I'm a Debbie Downer, though. I'm just like when the team is good, I'm the most, you know, I'm the first one to tell you they're really good. They're just not that good right now. And it's against my DNA to act like they're good when they're not. So I think there's a difference between.
I agree.
When the Super Bowl
Debbie Downer is your.
I wasn't negative when they were winning the Super Bowl. You know.
Yeah, Debbie Downer is your term, not mine. So just to be clear. Hey, listen. You know that win last week was ugly in every sense of the word. You wrote about it. Your team has talked about it. Everyone has talked about it. But I mean, the Saints had every chance in the world to lose that game. And, you know, sometimes ugly wins better than no win. But, you know, in the scheme of things, I'm not sure what it means.
Well, look, you know, it's 3 wins in 4 games for Darren Rizzi. So there's obviously some positive momentum in that regard. And they didn't lose it. They found a way to win. So I think that's the silver lining. If they would have lost that game, Ricky, it would have been devastating to morale, I think. And now they've got the work cut out for them without probably Derek Carr. Doesn't look like he's going to play. At least all signs point to it being either Jay Kaner or Spencer Rattler. I think it'll probably be Jay Kaner. And, you know, there's some reason to watch, right? I mean, a young quarterback making his first NFL start against a really up-and-coming Washington team with Jaden Daniels at quarterback. So there is some intrigue in this game this weekend, but I can't get beyond really that. I think at the point right now we're at with the Saints, a lot of people are wanting to see young players and see some hope for the future. Like you said, we saw some of that with Kendre Miller over the weekend. Brian Brzee had probably his best game as a Saint. So at least there's some optimism there that there's some pieces to build around going forward.
Yeah, you're right. I agree. We got to get some younger players out there. And it was good to see Brian Brzee have the kind of game that he had. And then as you speak about who the quarterback's going to be, you know, we saw Spencer. I think it's a good opportunity to give Haener a shot. Maybe we can see some of that training camp brilliance that people were talking about.
Look, I'm a Jay Kaner fan. I like the way he plays. I think fans are going to like seeing him after he's had a full week of game planning. He hasn't had that yet. Whenever he's come in, it's been in a backup role. in a very brief cameo appearance where he hasn't received the bulk of the snaps as the starter during the week. So he's really kind of had to be inserted into a difficult situation. And when he's played in the past, this will be different. This will be a chance where he's had the first team reps all week. He's gone through the walkthroughs, and he'll have practiced over and over the plays he's going to run the game. So I'm interested to see him. He's got confidence. I think the players believe in him. There's a little cockiness to him. This is a guy that's been counted out his whole life because of his size. His measurables aren't what you would call NFL prototypes. And I think that chip on his shoulders served him well. And I think in a situation like this, it won't be too big for him, put it that way. Now, whether he's good enough or not, we'll see. But I don't think he'll fold in the moment.
So he has been getting the majority of the reps this week.
Well, we don't see that. So all we're seeing when we go to practice is basically these guys stretching and like literally a minute of practice. So they could be toying with us. Who knows what they're doing? But I'm just giving you an educated guess what I think is going to happen.
Even when he came in, like every time he comes in, but you think about last week coming in the situation that he came into, you can see the confidence, even just the way he carries himself on the field, the way he carries himself in the huddle. And I mean, it's really notable, isn't it?
There's no question. I mean, look, he's kind of wired to be a leader. That's one of the things I like him. There's a reason why he had such success at Fresno State. He had an incredible high school career out in California. People kind of gravitate to him. I think he's got an alpha personality, even though I'm telling you, Ricky, he's no more than 5'11". I mean, he's a lot like Kyler Murray or Bryce Young, some of these undersized quarterbacks we see. But if you watch him play, the ball comes out quick and it comes out very decisively. He makes quick reads and knows where he's going with the ball. And I like his moxie. We saw it last week at the end of the Giants game where they were trying to protect that lead and he got sacked. He didn't try to do too much. He didn't try to make a play. He just took the sack. That was the smart play there. Keep the clock running. The clock was the Saints' friend. Whereas I think if Spencer Rattler were in that same situation, he might have turned it over trying too hard to make a play. That's the moxie that I like to see, especially situational awareness, which this team has to have, Ricky. The one thing that Derek Carr's been doing that I don't think enough fans appreciate is he's stayed away from turnovers. Now, he had one in the Giants game for the first time since he's come back from injury, but it was almost like a punt. He just threw it downfield, long ball. But he stayed away from negative plays because this team isn't good enough to overcome it. I mean, they have no margin for error, and he's done a good job of avoiding turnovers. And I think Jake Haener will also do that as well, more so than Rattler. We saw Rattler just naturally trying to do too much in his cameo role.
When he got hurt, it's almost like he thought he was Rattler. What the heck was he thinking?
Yeah, I mean, he was trying to make a play and, got caught up in the moment. But, that's the last thing they needed. It was second down. So it wasn't like they had another play to live. But it happens. It's NFL football. Things like I think it's unavoidable. But I will say this. If Haener starts, this is a little nugget for you, Ricky. He'll be the 8th different starting quarterback since Drew Brees retired. 8. In the entire time Drew Brees was here, they had 4. 16 years, 4 quarterbacks. We've had 8 since then.
Woo, that's rough. So yep. What's the buzz, man? You're spending time with your team at NOLA.com and the Times Picayune. Of course, people can watch your podcast and get a sense of what you guys are thinking. But you're around a lot of others. We've heard Bobby Hebert go on his rants. But what's the buzz?
Like, what do you mean? The buzz with what?
Just about the Saints. I mean,
I don't think there is
sort of.
There is no buzz.
Well, are they resolved to the reality that we're going to be moving toward a significant rebuilding, and that's just where we are?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I think there's going to be significant changes. I mean, I think there's going to be more changes than what we've seen just at the head coaching position. And what I mean by that is I think we'll see major changes to the roster. I think we'll probably see a change with the medical and training staff. I think that's going to be something that needs to be addressed. And then we may see some restructuring or some changes to the front office. I don't know how extensive it'll be, but I'll be shocked if we don't see some type of reset on Airline Drive. I think the organization needs it, desperately needs kind of a fresh start, a clean start. And it'd be interesting to see what happens now with the head coaching search. Now that Bill Belichick's out of the picture, going to North Carolina, I think in some ways that's not good for the Saints, because I don't think the Saints were ever in the market for Bill Belichick, but some other team might have been. Now they're going to be even more competitive in the head coaching front because Bill Belichick's not going to be going to another NFL team now. So I think that actually hurts the Saints a little bit.
Yeah, that Bill Belichick decision is so interesting to watch as you watch players who used to play for him and what their observations are going to be just about the way that Belichick communicates and how is that going to play in the collegiate world. We'll get your response to that when we get on the other side, and also just talk about what else is going on. We'll see you after this. Hope you're having a great day. We're all looking forward to the weekend as we get closer and closer to Christmas, which is amazing to me that 2024 has gone by so quickly. We're visiting with Jeff Duncan from NOLA.com and the Times Picayune award-winning columnist on the NFL Hall of Fame Selection Committee, and he really gets the Saints. So yeah, we'll get back to the Saints in a second. On Belichick, what an interesting kind of odd decision.
Kind of stunning to me, to be honest with you. I did not see him going to college. I know he wants to coach, and I think what probably happened, Ricky, is he looked around through his agents at the NFL landscape and saw that he probably wasn't going to get much interest in the NFL again. He got passed over last year. He came close to getting the Falcons job, and I think he looked at the openings, probably had his agent make some inquiries, and saw that nothing was going to materialize on that horizon. So he decided to take another route because he likes to coach. He's a teacher at heart. And I think it's going to be fascinating to see how this plays out. North Carolina is making a significant investment, 3 years, $30 million. They've also agreed to hire, I think, 20 new staffers and upgrade their NIL budget. It's going to be fascinating to see how that plays out. I did not see it coming, but look, John Summerall, the Tulane coach, was heavily involved in that head coaching search. So I had my ear to the ground on the North Carolina situation, and it became apparent right before that Tulane Army game. My sources were telling me this is real with Bill Belichick in North Carolina. So it took a few days for it to happen, but probably the best thing ever happened for Tulane was them going in the direction of Bill Belichick, because John Summerall would have been the other choice, and I think he was probably 1A to number one option, Bill Belichick.
Well, listen, speaking of coaches, Darren Rizzi, we've talked about him. He's an alpha guy. You like that. A lot of people like that. There was this one moment on the sidelines with the punter where Alvin Kamara had to be a leader. If you freeze frame that moment where Alvin's kind of nudging him away from the punter, you could tell he was so. It was interesting to see how people respond to that. If you like that kind of coaching, people loved it on X. They commented about it. They said, yes, this is what we need. There's a whole nother group that says it's way too much. He's just too into it. He loses his vision for what's happening in the game. How do you read that?
Yeah, I'm kind of in between there. I mean, I do think he went a little over the top. It was surprising to me to see him go that crazy. I know what he was upset about. I mean, Hayball's supposed to be back deep in kind of the last line of defense there, and he got caught up in the moment and found himself in the middle of the field, in the middle of the scrum. That's the last place he needed to be, and it almost cost the Saints. The Saints were very fortunate, Ricky. They had a touchdown call back on that play and then a field goal that got negated by Giants penalties. The Giants are just they self-imploded worse than the Saints. But Rizzi, I like the passion and emotion from him. And I think what some of the fans liked about it was he was clearly holding a player accountable for a mistake, a mental error more than anything else. And we've seen time and time again, that's what's hurt this team the last few years is attention to detail, poor fundamentals, mental errors. So I think there's a lot of people that like seeing that because they saw so much of that with Sean Payton over the years.
Well, you have to also factor in that he was the special teams coach, and he believes in this punter. That's why he was here, and he felt a certain connection with him, and therefore more disappointment. in this boneheaded move that he made, and that all kind of came swirling to the surface in that moment.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, he's very prideful in the special teams the Saints have, and I think more than anything, Ricky, it was because it was a mental error. It's one thing if the punter gets juked out of his shoes and can't make the tackle. That's physical. I mean, that's going to happen. These are NFL athletes, but he was in the wrong place because of a mental error, and that's something that this team can't afford. They can't afford those kind of mistakes, and they were really, really fortunate that it didn't haunt them on that.
I was surprised. We've got our starting lineup back at offensive line. Aside from the fact that Alvin Kamara has just had a great year. I mean, he's been a great leader. He has busted his butt to help this team. Contributed what he's got to contribute. So we can talk about Alvin too. But were you a little disappointed with how things played out from an offensive line point of view in this game?
Well, I thought the Giants really had a great game plan. I mean, the Giants played basically an old bear 46 defense front. It's very similar to what the Eagles did earlier this season, Ricky, if you remember, that caused all kinds of problems in the Saints running game. They basically had 5 down linemen and cut off the Saints' ability to get outside. It was a very creative game plan. What I was stunned was that Clint Kubiak and the offensive staff did not adjust to that and come up with a way to run the ball. They really struggled, I think, in that regard. And I think we're going to see more of that going forward. I know if I'm the Commanders and I see that game tape, that's how I'm defending the Saints, because their passing game is so limited right now. And it's probably going to be even more limited with a backup quarterback. The only thing you really need to worry about right now with the Saints offense is that running game. And if you can shut that thing off with a bare front the way the Giants did, it's going to be difficult for them to score points.
One of the things, and of course, I don't understand. You understand this, and that's why you said at the beginning of the season that the motions and all that didn't surprise you. That Saints have always done motion. Maybe we're doing more of it. We're obviously doing more 2-back sets. I mean, I don't think they did any of that last year. I was surprised we didn't see more of that during this game. Or am I just misreading what I'm seeing? Because it looked like we've got some talent at running back now. I think we've got some hope there, don't you?
Yeah, I liked what I saw from Kendre Miller. I think he showed the flashes of the talent that made him a 3rd-round draft pick. I mean, he's got some power. He's got some elusiveness. There wasn't a lot of room to run. He made some things happen that weren't even there. So you can see the talent there. Now, can he keep stacking games? Can he stack practices? Can he be reliable and dependable? And look, there's way more to playing running back than just running with the ball. Can you protect in pass protection situations? You know where to be. Are you available on screens? You have to make reads. There's all kinds of things involved that I think is held him back beyond just being able to run with the ball. He's got to earn the trust of his teammates and his coaches, and that's something he'd lost. And I think he's on his way back now with a new, fresh start under Darren Rizzi. But make no mistake, Ricky, I mean, he was in the doghouse for a reason. Nobody just invented a reason to put him in the doghouse. I mean, he was in there because he wasn't taking care of matters, and I think he should be properly motivated. And I think we saw motivated Kendre Miller on Sunday.
Yeah, he was definitely in Dennis Allen's doghouse. Some suggest too much so. But it doesn't even matter now because Dennis Allen's not part of the formula anymore. And Rizzi's given him an opportunity, isn't he?
Yeah, and he said properly, look, you need to prove it. It's on you to prove it. And I don't agree with that. I mean, I think Dennis Allen had him in the doghouse because he wasn't taking care of business. I mean, I know a lot of stuff that's been going on with Kendre Miller, and he's his own. He's not a victim here. There's accountability that has to happen, and I think a lot of his teammates would tell you he wasn't holding up his end of the bargain. So I think he's got a chance now with a new head coach. But let's not play the victim card here.
Well, he's a good receiver. He's a darn hard runner. He's quick. Is there a chance they could utilize him in much the same way they were utilizing Taysom?
Well, I think he's taken over probably the running part of Taysom Hill's multifaceted approach. And like we saw Dallin Holker come in and play a few more reps, he'll probably fill in for the pass catching part of Taysom Hill. No one's going to be one person replace Taysom Hill. He just does too many things. He's a unicorn. But I do think that he can take that load off. And I expect him to get more carries this week. I was surprised he didn't see more last week, just to take some of the load off of Alvin Kamara. He's had such a productive, long season. But, man, that'll add up. The little tread on the tire will be taken off after a year like this.
I mean, you're right, man. I mean, he is taking, like even in that Giants game, he's taking some hellacious hits, and he just bounces up. I mean, it's got to be wearing and tearing him, but man, he seems like he is in incredible shape.
Yeah, I tell you, one thing he does a good job of Deuce McAllister used to tell me this, of running backs, make yourself small in the hole. What he means is by, twist your upper body a little bit, duck down. I mean, Alvin's brilliant at that. He's brilliant at kind of not absorbing contact, but eventually, I mean, you're gonna get collided into. It's the NFL high-speed train wreck almost every play. And you're right. He's an amazing physical specimen, and this has by far been his best season. And it'll be interesting to see if he gets in the Pro Bowl. I think he's right on the fringe, certainly deserving of getting in there. But because of the Saints' record, I'm wondering if he's going to make the cut or not.
Chris Olave is certainly eligible. What are you hearing about the assessments that have been done on him?
I think it's unlikely he plays just because of the Saints situation. I think very similar to Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr, Ricky, would probably play if the Saints were in the hunt for a playoff berth, if they needed to win. But because of their situation, I'll be surprised if we see Olave back out there. It makes no sense to me right now.
But you think he'll play football?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I definitely think he's going to play football.
Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. We got to protect him. Hey, listen, Jeff, it's been a pleasure, man. We'll see you next week.
All right, Ricky. Take care, buddy.
Take care, my friend. When we come back, we have JT Mitchell from SuperTalk Mississippi News. We'll see you after this.